Welcome. I can see all of our participants have started joining. We're going to give it a few minutes to get everyone on. There we go. They're joining fast. They have a lot of questions, guys. While we are online and waiting for the rest of the members to join, can I ask the members that are online to tell us who you are and have you attended all of the time or all of the stress management webinars? Are you only joining to get the questions? Just let us know how many of these sessions have you attended so that we can just see from our side as well. I see the members online today are the quiet bunch. There we go. We have our first person, Retabile from Joburg, attended all your sessions. Natasha from PE attended all 3 of the other seminars, so they've attended everyone. Irvina has attended 2. Yari from Indonesia, this is her 3rd session. Welcome, everyone. So, Monica from Bloemfontein says that this is the 3rd session and it's been very helpful. We have Bear from Louisville, Kentucky, 3rd session. Princess from Joburg, 1st time. We have some questions for today. Oratile from Joburg, Perry from Secunda. So let us get our session started. So hello and welcome to the newly launched Golden Key Academy, a place of online learning developed by Golden Key, especially for our members. It's been created in response to feedback from our members telling us that they want more career support and expert guidance. We listened and created a website filled with videos, articles, ebooks. If you haven't had a chance to check it out yet, please do so. One of the best things we're offering as part of the Golden Key Academy is a packed schedule of live webinars like this one. We're doing our best to select speakers and topics that are relevant to you. So please feel free to give us feedback anytime you would like to learn anything specific by emailing us at thoughtleaders@goldenkey.org. So today we'll be focusing on all the questions that you've had in the previous 3 sessions of the stress management with these amazing speakers. So let me first welcome Neo Moselani, a certified life coach, CEO at the New Motivation Academy, youth pastor at Holy Harvest Church, an entrepreneur at Golden Key entrepreneur and a Golden Key International Honor Society member, an award-winning leader and author. Welcome, Neo. Then we have Marnie Both, the CEO at Evolve Life, certified life coach, and studied theology at the University of the Free State. Welcome, Moni. And last but definitely not least is Dr. Bill Price, a certified master life coach, CEO at VIP Coaching International Institute, a mentor and an NLP specialist. Welcome to you guys once again. We appreciate and enjoy having you guys online with us. So just a short explanation before we start going through. We have a number of questions that were submitted during the 3 sessions that we have compiled, and we're putting these 3 amazing men on the hot seat with answering all of the questions that we've had. And then if there is any time remaining, we'll be using or answering some of the questions that you guys have that you can post in the Q&A box as we go along. So yes, are you guys ready? Great. So the first question we have is there anything that can be said about interpreting stressful events?
Yes, there's actually a lot that can be said about interpreting stress. So I'll just focus on this. So stressful events happen each and every day around us in different environments. So basically you are exposed to different vibes, different environments, different people, different situations, and some of the situations might actually be very stressful. Now, interpretation comes with this. interpretation will determine the level in which the situation will have an impact in your life. So the impact of the stress is determined by your interpretation. So the moment you say, this is the worst thing I've ever seen in my entire life and experience, guess what? The experience will be the worst experience ever. So the interpretation of the stressful event or any event in your life will determine the impact, or it will determine the impact that that event will have in your life. So that's what I wanted to say about that question.
Thank you very much, Neo.
If you wouldn't mind, I'd just like to add also, Dino, I think that impact in your life also, remember what we talked about in the one session. You can either complain that the roses has thorns, or that the thorns, the thorn bush has roses. So you also need to be very careful on what is the meaning while you are thinking upon this and pondering upon that you give to a certain situation. So the impact is also directly equivalent to what is the meaning that you are giving to that. I think Dr. Bill can elaborate a little bit later on that as well. So yeah, it is so true what Neo was saying.
Then our next question is, can you guys give any advice on how to stop negative thoughts? For example, there was a very stressful incident last week. I keep replaying it over and over, trying to figure it out. I'm aware of the anxiety I am feeling, but I don't know how to stop or block that specific thought.
Yes, that is such a wonderful question as well. I see that Dr. Bill is just quickly offline. I think his internet is also there with load shedding, but he'll be back just straight away. I think some advice to stop negative thoughts. I think one thing that you should be clear about with the negative thoughts is that our mind usually goes to the negative without even just thinking. So the moment that you realize that you are thinking negative thoughts, you should literally, rudely, abruptly disrupt yourself and just say, stop it. So this is literally what I do. Sometimes when these negative thoughts that come up in my mind, I do something. I aloud say, no, stop it. Now, the reason for that is I need to hear it. It needs to have a new way of thinking. And then I place a positive thought aloud so that I can hear it, I can think it. Kinesthetically, I can say it, my lips moving. So that is one way to do it. Just to literally stop yourself with that thought. Another thing also, if you entertain that thought the whole time, it tends to get stronger, and you tend to, by default, go back to that specific thought process. So deliberately stop yourself in that thought process when you become aware of that. So be aware also of that specific thought. And it's as if you are taking that thought captive and bringing it under commandment of the positive and the life and the light. So that is technically what you can do if you say any advice on to stop negative thoughts.
Thank you so much, Marnie. Then there's a question that came out that a lot of members have been asking, and it all goes around procrastination. So one of the questions was, for example, my anxiety and depression stems from procrastinating. I know I'm doing it, but I don't know how to not procrastinate. So they're having trouble with actually not procrastinating, even though they know they consciously know that they're doing it. Then one of the others was that they have a problem with procrastination, which causes stress and anxiety, and depression. So I think a lot of people want to know, how do you stop procrastinating?
So if I could pay some attention to the procrastination process, first of all, you need to understand that when you are procrastinating, you are living out from what we will call an archetype. In other words, like a personal identity. And you get 6 or 7 different kinds of procrastinators. So you first of all get the warrior. So if you're writing down, you can write down these 6 procrastinators and you can rate them out of 10 of how much you are that particular archetype. So are you a worrier? Do you worry about worrying? And when you don't have things to worry about, do you worry about the fact that you don't have things to worry about? Then you're a worrier. Are you a performer? Are you a person that just wants to get things done? Are you a pleaser is the other archetype. Do you like pleasing people? Then are you a person who does self-depreciation? In other words, you don't appreciate yourself, but your Mr. and Mrs. Critic is switched on quite strongly, and you are constantly criticizing yourself. So it's almost like a Mr. and Mrs. Perfectionist. And you delay and delay and delay because it's not perfect yet. Another procrastination archetype is that you're a novelty seeker. In other words, so you're like a bee that buzzes from one flower to the next. Ooh, here's more pollen. Ooh, here's more pollen. Ooh, here's more pollen. And you leave behind you a trail of unfinished tasks. Are you a novelty seeker? Are you a busy bee? Then are you a dreamer? And a dreamer simply means, ooh, that's nice. Let me write it down. I'll get to it one day. Ooh, that's also nice. I'll write it down. I'll get to it one. Ooh, this is wonderful. I'll also get to that. So a dreamer has a large agenda, many items, but never gets to them. And then there's the defier, the defiant procrastinator. In other words, you are asked to do something that you don't like doing, or you have a feeling that it's not worthwhile. There's no value in you in doing it, so you defy the process. So the first thing is to find out what is the identity of the procrastinator. Who's showing up? And the reason why we procrastinate is simply because we are disconnected to our values. And our values are what creates passion and motivation. My grandson, when he sits in front of my computer and plays computer games, I don't have to get him excited about it. I don't have to ask him where's his passion coming from. He simply has the reality of, hold on a moment, this is valuable and important to me. I love this, and therefore he can sit all day in front of it and play games. So find your values. What is your highest values? And there's an exercise that you can do at a later stage. We can help you with that, but you need to live according to your values. But procrastination is based in an identity, and that identity has a motivation as to why there is procrastination taking place. So you are deferring action. And the other question that you need to ask yourself as a procrastinator is, what is my payoff? What am I getting by procrastinating? What am I getting out of it? And somewhere there is a self-convincer. There's a self-convincing strategy somewhere in your thinking that tells you delay, 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 it's okay. And you've got to go and do some reflection work. You've got to go and do some self-talk work to be able to make discoveries as to what is the objective of procrastination. But procrastination is the beginning of self-discovery.
Thank you very much, Dr. Bill. I think that lays it out a bit more for members to see what types of procrastinators you get. For the members that were not able to write it down, this will be recorded and available afterwards so that you can review it and take some time to work through that as well. Then I am going to give you guys our next question is, how do you deal with negative people to not affect you?
I think sometimes there's a way of people understanding. You have your people that is big thinkers, for they see the big picture, And then you have the guys with the detail as well. So you first have to define if people are really negative, or are they helping you to understand a certain thing that you are not aware of as much as you would like to be. So the first and foremost is just to go and sit there. Is this person's motive to be negative? Or are they really just trying to see where there is things? Is their motive to be helpful by giving me some criticism? Or is their motive to be there just to guide me through certain things? Or is their motive just to be negative and downplay me? So you can try just to think about that as well. That's first and foremost what I think is very important to realize. If that person is negative indeed, or is he trying to be helpful? So maybe there's something that you can learn by just listening to that, for an instance. But to be bombarded with negativity the whole time, that can put you into a frame of mindset where you start to, without any choice, become negative as well, which is a choice. So if you can choose to become negative while in the presence of negative people, you can also try to see the thorns in the rose bush or the roses in the thorn bush as well. There's also a few things in the brain that goes to tend to be negative if you do not control that and be aware of it. And I think there's also something that you can put in place for you to choose to be the person who has the most valuable thought processes that can be beneficial for you, and not to just fall into negative traps of not having possibilities and thinking about necessities. But that on that point, if you use words like, oh, I have to go to the gym, I must pick up the kids, I can just say something to you like, okay, you guys, you have to. And no matter what I'm going to say afterwards, people are going to say like, I don't want to. So you are technically, in the way that you are speaking, you are telling your brain, oh, I have to, I don't want to, I must. So try to talk a language of possibilities rather than necessities. I want to go to the gym. I want to go to an exercise. So some thought processes, just a little bit on that as well.
Thanks. I think Dr. Bill might also want to add there. I see he was coloring and drawing while we were busy listening to Marnie.
Yeah, Gillian, can you zoom in on your screen onto the flip chart so that people can see it? Or
let's see if you guys as members just use the chat function to let us know if you can see Dr. Bill's screen quite clearly. If you do select the view speaker, perfect, great.
Okay, cool. My answer now is it is a lifestyle solution. So if I look at all the questions that were sent regarding procrastination and negativity of thoughts and negativity of people, etc., etc., here's how I would coach you if you were in front of me as a neuroscientist. I would suggest that you create a very so the first thing you need to do is you need to become aware. And awareness means that you become conscious of your life. I shared in one of the lectures that there is 3 levels in our mind, or 3 functions, or 4 functions in our mind. And in our mind, we have the unconsciousness, we have the subconsciousness, and then we have the conscious mind, or the executive mind that makes executive decisions. But then we also over here have the creative conscious mind. And remember, we said we then move to the left, take a breath, and over here, with awareness, we go and we say, that's interesting. So the moment you make the affirmation of that's interesting, whatever your stress, whatever the negative person that's in front of you, etc., the moment you say to yourself, that's interesting, then it takes on a brand new connotation. So it brings in inquiry, and it also brings in personal control. So the creative consciousness is where I focus on the future, and the agenda of the creative consciousness is I'm paying attention to creating something new. I want you to imagine around yourself now. So if you are seated, I want you to sit back in your chair and just relax. And I want you to form an imaginary bubble around you and just create a bubble. And that bubble has that like the sci-fi movies has got that like synthetic where the person puts their hand through it and they go into another dimension. So I want you to kind of get that feel to it. And then I'd like you to choose a color. I chose orange. I'd like you to choose a color that depicts for you, I am who I am and I am in control. So choose a color that says, I am who I am and I am in control. And just take a deep breath and then put yourself in X marks the spot here, there in the creative consciousness circle, and just realize that here, the feeling I must feel is one of empowerment. The feeling that I must feel is one of strength. The feeling that I must feel here is one of confidence, and it's okay. So whatever is coming to me from the environment or coming to me from a context, the environment is the big picture. The context is I'm in my office with people, I'm in my studying, I'm in a lecture room. So context is who, what, when, where, and how. That's context. Who, what, how, when, and where. It's never why. You never find out why in life. So stop asking your brain the question why. It doesn't know what to do with it. So we must rather phrase a question, what's going on here? How can I solve it? When do I want it solved? When, where do I need to pay attention now? And so it's what, when, where, who, and how. Who's involved? So my awareness is around what, when, where, who, and how. What, when, who, and how is my context. Whatever that happens, it doesn't penetrate my bubble. I don't allow it to penetrate my bubble. I become an interested observer. This bubble is not to shut me off. It's not to isolate me. So the bubble is there for me to view from a sense of confidence, personal confidence. And take a deep breath and feel what that feels like in your body when you're in the bubble now. So I invite you to breathe in with me through the nose and breathe out through the mouth. Breathe in through the nose and breathe out through the mouth. So now you are having, right now, you're experiencing a neurotransmitter chemical which is called GABA, G-A-B-A, GABA. And GABA is a neurotransmitter of centeredness, and it's almost putting you in a sleep mode. So if you drink GABA powder before you go to bed at night, it'll help you with sleeplessness. Now, my unconsciousness, subconscious, and conscious have already connected to this context and this environment, is giving me a story. So in these three circles is a story. My role is not to get involved with this story. My role is to stay in the creative consciousness circle and say, this is damn interesting that I'm watching now. This negative person, the way that they're talking, wow, this is really interesting. This negative, attack that I'm having by someone verbally, wow, this is really interesting. And when I put it that way, I then go to the next one and say to myself, so what is the reality that I want? What's the reality that I want? And I want to respect the person who's negative. I want to listen to the person who's negative, because there's a possibility that what they say is real and true for me and I can learn from it. So I just relax and go, so what do I want? So I say, I want to be open-minded. I want to listen. I want to pay attention, but I do not want to weave it into my being. I don't want to make it part of my story. So I keep it at a distance. I keep the bubble there, and I'm going, it's your story. It's your circus. It's your monkey. It's not my monkey and my circus. It's your circus and your monkey. Even if they use my name, or they are directly communicating with me and saying, you doing this, you doing that, you just take a deep breath and go, that's interesting. It's wonderful listening to your version of your story, but it's not about me. It's about you. Because what the person is doing is projecting. So negative people project, and they want you to come to their negative party and just stay in the bubble and go, I'll be an observer. I'll stand outside the room and watch everybody dancing inside from outside as I stand in your lily plants and mess up your lily plants just to get back at you, which is a nice way of doing that. And when I leave, my footprints will be in your garden. But you know what? I'm not going to allow your pity party to envelop me. And it's a conscious decision. So you need to realize that working with my consciousness is not working with it here, because the moment I work with it here, I get into stories. But I want to get into the creative new future that I want. And the creative new future that I want is based on respect and based on honor, but I'm not going to allow you to negatively influence me. And also, when you discover that from here, you've got negative thoughts. Negative thoughts are going to come up whether we like it or not. They'll come up onto the screen. Honor them. That's the first thing. Just honor them. Don't try and disconnect from them. Just honor them. Pull them close to yourself and go, interesting. So I don't want to have this negative thought. So what do I want to replace it with? And I immediately replace it with what I want to replace it with, which is a cognitive positive thought. As Marnie shared, I then speak to myself in a positive affirmation thing, a tone of voice. And the moment I have that, I have dopamine, which is a wonderful chemical in my neuroscience, which makes me strong and is a reward mechanism. So the moment I feel achievement, dopamine is going to happen in my brain. So it's the achievement chemical, makes me feel, yeah, I've just achieved something. That's amazing. And when I'm connected with myself, when I'm connected with my being, there's another chemical that is formed, which is called oxytocin. And oxytocin happens every time you hug someone. So when your mother hugs you, or when someone looks you in the eyes and you feel seen, oxytocin is formed in the brain and it goes into your central nervous system. It's the feeling good. So oxytocin and endorphin are the two very, very positive, powerful neurotransmitters or neurochemicals that come because of achievement and become because of closeness and come because of connection. So I want to advise you to turn it into a lifestyle. Then I want to close off my explanation by saying this here is backed up by a lifestyle. And if you're taking notes, then I want you to take notes of the following. So your lifestyle means, for me to handle stress on a consistent basis in this bubble, I must have, number one, enough sleep. So you need a minimum of 7 to 8 hours of sleep. So I must make enough sleep. I must make time for enough sleep. Don't watch television before you go to bed. For an hour, switch off the TV, go and drink some rooibos tea or green tea, or don't drink alcohol before you sleep, because then you mess with your neurotransmitters. Sleep well. If you have problems with sleeping, go to a doctor and get some melatonin, or go to a chemist and you can get it off the shelf as GABA powder. So sleep is critical. Number two, eat right. Your diet, eat protein and eat lots of vegetables. Stay away from carbohydrates and dairy. Stay away from carbohydrates and dairy. Then exercise is critical. Folks, all I do every morning is an 18-minute exercise regimen at home. I'm no longer going to a gym. COVID-19 has shut me off from a gym, and I'm now using body weight exercises. And I am losing energy and fat in my body simply by 18 minutes of simple exercise, which you can do in a room. The other thing is, in your awareness, be aware of your self-talk. Become your best friend. So if your best friend comes to you and says, yes, I've just blown it, I've done this, how are you going to talk to them? You won't admonish them, you won't criticize them, you'll embrace them. How is it that you then criticize yourself? Become your own best friend. And then nutrition is critical. So you need GABA powder, you need magnesium, you need vitamin C, lots of it. You need vitamin D3, you need omega-3, you need vitamin E. So those are basic vitamins that you need to add into your diet, because we don't get that in all of the foods that we get. And it's also very good for your brain. Avocado, eat lots of avocado. It's very good. Lots of green vegetables is very good for brain food. And we can send you at a later stage on a whole booklet, a separate booklet on how to look after your brain. And then meditate, use mindfulness. There was a question asked, when I did meditation and I did yoga, did I engage in the spiritual aspects of yoga? My answer is no. I found a yoga teacher at 74 who got me to bend in places that I never believed I could bend. But she doesn't do all the yoga philosophy of, the God in me says hello to the God in you. I'm saying, just let it will say hello to me. Just say hello to me. You don't need to make a big spiritual thing of hello. Just go, hi, and I'm. So I did not do spiritual stuff of humming and singing Kumbaya to a false guitar in the background. So I didn't have to accept that stuff. And that's because of my spirituality, the value of my spirituality. But I did do the exercise, and I can tell you I felt every single muscle pain because of yoga. And as I said, I healed 2 broken vertebrae because of going to yoga and doing meditation. So it does work. And live a life of mindfulness, and then learn to breathe. But make it a lifestyle. Stop trying to diagnose stress and only try and deal with it when you diagnose it. It's too late once you've diagnosed it. You need to turn it into a lifestyle. You need to make yourself stress resistant and stress resilient. Here endeth my lesson.
I think that's brilliant. I think it answered quite a few of the questions because of some of them having such a close correlation. For example, what can you do to release the stress, or the yoga has come up quite a few times during the sessions, and also how to deal with anxiety or negative people that you, for example, can't avoid. So I think a lot of that has been answered with your explanation now as well. Then we're getting quite a bit of questions in the Q&A. So I'm eliminating questions that are similar in terms of what they've asked. Then I wanted to ask you guys a question. So I know we answered this in one of the sessions as well, but I think we might have members here that did not attend that specific session. But it's they say, I recently learned about obsessive intrusive thoughts. What are they? Where do they reside? Where do they come from? And how do you deal with them, especially with this time of lockdown and quarantine? So yeah, it's those obsessive intrusive thoughts.
So if I could introduce it, an obsessive thought simply means that I'm now thinking with a magnifying glass. So if you could imagine you're walking around in your brain, and your brain has got the message that you like this thought. So the brain has got the message, you know what, you have thought this thought 3 or 4 times, 5 times in a row. And now the brain wherever that thought is. So there's no bad place for thoughts and good place for thoughts. You only get the result of a good thought or a bad thought. The bad thought, you're going to get noradrenaline, you're going to get adrenaline, you're going to get cortisol, which are negative neurotransmitter chemicals that you'll feel through headaches, a dry mouth, lack of energy, intestinal pain, lack of emotional flow, reduction in performance are all signs of stress. And the moment you've got that, you need to know there's inflammation in your brain and in your gut. So an obsessive negative thought simply means that the brain, because it has its own form of intelligence, said, you thought this thought a few times, so you know what I'm going to do? I'm now going to myelinate the thought. So if the middle of my hand is a neuron, these are called axons, and there's another neuron, and those axons never join, but they jump. So the electricity jumps from this axon to that axon, and then it goes into this neutron. So when you've got a pattern of that, that's called a behavior or a thought. So you've got, it goes 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So you can look at the pattern and your brain says, well, you thought this way 6 or 7 times. So you know what I'm now going to do? That means you've put energy to it. You've allowed it to think about it. Every time you allow something and thought to be thought over again, the brain goes, okay, so you're putting attention to that. So you know what? I'm going to respectfully put a fatty tissue around these axons so that you don't lose the energy. So the brain does you a wonderful favor, and it now entrenches a habitual thought by myelinating it. So it puts fatty tissue around the axon so energy can't jump out of this tube. So it myelinates it. That's why habits are hard to break, because it's a myelinated program. And the only way to change a thought is to do what Marnie said, say no, emphatically no. When I want you all to take a deep breath, and as you breathe out, relax. And then I want you to find a time when you had to say no emphatically to someone or something, but you really mean it. And when I say go, I want you to say out loud no 3 times with a tone of voice that you used at that time. Okay, take a deep breath and breathe out and go. Say it no 3 times. No, no, no. And mean it with absolute assertiveness. No, damn it. No. Stop it. And that no is what will stop the flow of the program. It goes, what? It's like, oh my goodness, what now? And you're going, I'm now going to reprogram you, and I choose to think the other way. So I'm now going to choose the opposite thought. So whatever the obsessive thought is, if it's a sexual thought, going, so I'm now thinking obsessively about sex, or I'm obsessively thinking about, I'm going to, my one grandson's teacher is an obsessive teacher. She's obsessive about coronavirus. If a child sneezes, she has a heart attack. She screams at children in the classroom. And the moment you scream at a child, you switch on the amygdala in the brain. And she's creating negative energy in every single one of her children by shouting. So some of you are teaching education, stop shouting in the classroom, for God's sake, stop shouting. And get to the place where you learn to control your thinking. And obsessive thinking, I've got to identify it, then I say no to it, and then I must choose what do I want to put in its place. Because the brain wants something else in its place. So I then choose to think about self-love rather than sexual thoughts, or about health rather than the dangers of COVID-19. So obsessive thinking is a magnifying glass which is in your hands, which you put into the brain. So take the magnifying glass out of the mind, take it out of this consciousness over here. Take it out of the hand, saying, I will decide what I'm going to magnify. And just do it.
Thank you
If
so
I
much.
if I may add to
Yes,
that,
Mark.
sorry, again. There's also, with that, there's a part of your brain that is called the reticular activating system. And that is the RAS. Now, it is a type of a network in your brain. So just to add to what Dr. Price is saying there, it is so important that you know that there's a that can help you in this process. So when you deliberately choose to do that, the function of the reticular activating system is to arouse you. No, not what you are thinking, I know that. It is to arouse you to what you want to. For example, I don't know if you've ever bought a new car, and the next moment, everywhere you drive, there's that car, and there's that car, and you see that car everywhere. Now, nobody went and bought the car because you bought the car out of spitefulness. You were just sensitized, and it was brought into your awareness, and now your RAS, your reticular activating system, shows it to you. I remember when my sister fell pregnant. I walked in the shopping mall, and all of a sudden, all the women that walked past me were pregnant. I thought to myself, I have to emigrate within 9 months because we're going to double the population, you know. So none of them fell pregnant because my sister fell pregnant. I was just sensitized to that. I became aware of it, believed that it was important, and it started to show me that. So to add to what Dr. Bill is saying, you have this wonderful part in your brain. If you start to focus on the good, on the beautiful things in life, if you deliberately stop processes and start to say other positive, not just affirmations, but positive belief affirmations, that you really believe it, because just saying this, yeah, I'm a millionaire, really could have fooled me. But you need to start to believe positive things about your own life. Your RAS will start to pick up on it, and it will start to show you things. There was a wise person who said, seek and you find, because everything is out there, but you do not notice it. There's a few things that your mind deletes because of all the information that you get. So start to focus on the positive things, and then you have this wonderful function in your brain called the reticular activating system that will start to show you more of the opportunities and less of the problem. So I just wanted to add a little bit to that as
well. Amazing. It's very exciting things that you guys are sharing with everyone. I can see in the chat the members are also fascinated by the answers. I think this is something that relates quite closely to what we've been speaking about last now, is that does burnout also start in the brain, or how do we actually encounter that?
Yes, the burnout always starts in, everything starts in the brain. There's nothing that happens in your life that doesn't start in the brain. So if you've got a brain, that's the central nervous system. It's the central control system of your entire being. It's a control system of your personality, of your thoughts, of your beliefs, of your values, all housed within the brain. There's nothing that's in your life that's not in your brain. So it depends on a burnout will begin because of stuff that you. So let's go to the reticular activating system that Mani is using. So success and failure has the same formula. It's what you're focusing on and what you're not focusing on. So successful people focus on certain things and defocus on certain other things. Failures, or people that fail, I don't want to identify a person as a failure. So people that fail are focusing on certain things and are defocusing on other things that they should actually be focusing on. So it's about focus. And the reality of our reticular activating system is that I need to come to the place in my thinking that burnout is what I'm not paying attention to. So there's a young man that I'm acquainted with that had 20 years of he was married to a bipolar wife, and she didn't want to do any medication or whatever. So for 25 years, he had to live with this negative person and bipolar person who didn't want to do anything about it. And he had a literal neuro breakdown. His executive part in his brain shut down, couldn't give his motor part of his brain instructions for his lungs to work, and he eventually feels like he's having a heart attack. And so the executive part of the brain can't give the motor part of the brain instructions to breathe, for the heart to beat, for the digestive system to work. And that's 20 years of the load of stress, of not paying attention to it. He went to gym, he did a little bit of basketball, he went for walks, but he didn't do the cognitive work. And in 20 years, he has a shutdown, total shutdown, nearly dies. So burnout starts very small, but then it begins to build. So therefore, I have to be aware. I have to become aware of what it is. So I've got to be aware of my body. My body is my greatest communicator. It's communicating to you folks. And so if you're feeling stress and energy, less energy, reduced performance, intestinal pain, sense of negativity, a sense of cynicism, you're constantly cynical about everything, you haven't said a positive thing in a long time, hey, you need an internal checkup. You need to go and don't talk to a friend, because a friend just talks you around circles and in spirals, and a friend who's not equipped doesn't know how to help you. Find a life coach, find someone that you can talk to, and sit down and have a decent conversation when someone can actually challenge you and go, hey, that thought, what are you getting out of thinking that thought? That's interesting. And let them mirror to you how you are. So don't go to a friend because they're not carrying a mirror. They just want to put their arm around you and want you to feel happy and move on so that they can be happy because they're depending on you as a friend as well. So I hope I haven't smashed the whole thing around friendship, but there are some friends that you can really be honest and transparent with. But burnout starts small, but I can promise you burnout can end in death.
Thank you very much, Dr. Bill. And that was one of the questions that we had from a member is, will they be able to get in contact with you guys afterwards, you know? So I think what we can do is share that information off with a mailer. If any of the members want to personally get in contact with you guys for help and assistance and lead, just wanting that, not a friend that will influence them or try and self-help. I think it would be best if they physically get in contact with you guys. Our time is running quite short, so I am going to give you guys the last few questions to answer. We have one from today's session that says, do you have any advice for perfectionists? I'm a perfectionist, and this causes me to be very indecisive because I do not want to make a mistake. This causes me to work for very long hours, put things off because I can't decide on how to approach the task, and leaving me with everything to the last minute. This obviously leads to a lot of stress because I'm in a constant state of burning out fires, always submits tasks on the last minute, and a lack of sleep because I work very long hours.
I want to advise you to link onto YouTube and type in Stop It, S-T-O-P, new word I-T, Stop It. It's a beautiful, humorous video of a psychiatrist and all that he does to a person that comes into his session and tells them about their problems. He says, I'm going to charge you $5 and I'm only giving you 5 minutes, and in 5 minutes your problem is solved. The person says, so what you've just heard, with all respect, is what this woman will say to the psychiatrist. And he says, so here's my advice. Stop it. Just stop it. And she says, are you telling me that that's it? Because we think that therapy and our brain tries to make it difficult and we make it complicated. And I'm going, how about trying just to stop it? How about trying to say to you, you know everything, your brain knows what you're doing. So take a deep breath. And when you find yourself doing that consciously, just take a deep breath and say to yourself with an authoritative tone of voice, stop it, stop it. And breathe in and go, okay, so what do I need to do to get this finished? And put that into practice. Don't try it. So the word why and try, I never use in coaching. They're both words that have got failure built in them. I don't want you to try anything, and I don't want you to find out why you're doing anything. I simply want you to do it and learn and make it happen. So there's my short version on that one.
Great. Then I have a question that I think a lot of women are asking. Is it true that the stress release is a hormone that makes you gain weight?
Could you explain what that means?
So if I'm stressed all the time, does it release a hormone that physically makes me gain weight from stress?
Dr. Bill, I think she's
so
referring to what the hormones is that's being put off from being stress related, gaining weight and also just losing weight, perhaps.
Yeah. So the hormones that are created, so stress is created the moment you feel loss, anxiety, and fear in any way. Loss, anxiety, and fear. Fear of not being in control, loss of something, and anxiety because you're not going to achieve. So the hormones that the body produces in those three emotions are adrenaline, which is good, but too much of it is not good. Then there's noradrenaline, and then there is glutamine, which increases sugar levels, so that's why you're putting on weight. And then acetylcholine, which is a very, very dangerous neurotransmitter, which adds thickness into the blood, narrows the blood vessels, and slows down heartbeat or increases heartbeat. So those are the main chemicals that if I had to inject you a cc every week, within 3 months, you will have a growth the size of a golf ball in your body somewhere. So stress is negative. It creates, your brain then creates, so you must know, negative thoughts create negative chemicals. Negative chemicals create negative impact. Negative impact creates stress, disease, sickness, inflammation. Inflammation is the beginning of everything. Cancer, anything else. It all starts with inflammation. Choose to be happy. Choose to laugh. When you laugh, you have this amazing endorphin that happens. So I love being around Marnie. He just laughs all the time. And I get all my oxytocin that I need after the telephone call with Marnie.
I think the same, Dr. Bull. Every time we've been on with Marnie, you haven't stopped, you don't stop laughing. I think if anyone, we should do a recording of Marnie laughing and then add that on our YouTube to de-stress members as well.
Yeah, it can become an app.
There we go, Marnie.
Marnie, just laugh for us.
Come on, you guys. We're with professional people here, man. We're with professional people.
No. Don't. Just go on. Carry on. Laugh. I want to hear you laugh.
Oh, my goodness. Yeah,
Let's all laugh. 1, 2, 3, go.
Okay, laugh. You see, you do feel better after that.
No, everybody's feeling better. Everybody is laughing. It's important. Laughter is great.
Thank you very much for that laugh as well, Moni. You can send us the account later. So I think I am going to ask you guys the last question for our session today. What actions can I do to get a happy chemical boost in my brain when I'm stressed? I think this is something that relates to us now laughing because, you know, it is a stress release to laugh, but is there any actions that someone can do to actually boost that chemical in the brain?
If I can add.
Okay, I'm gonna say something quickly, and then I'm going to give over to Mania now. So in the brain, there are two things that you need to look for. The one is the hippocampus. You've got two of them, one in each hemisphere, and the other one is the amygdala. The amygdala is what switches on the negative chemicals. The hippocampus has got to do with memory and also got to do with all the positive chemicals like oxytocin, GABA, endorphins and serotonin and dopamine. Those are the very positive chemicals. And you switch them on when your brain is focused on achievement, a goal, a result, and enjoyment of achieving that result. So the moment you want to be happy, find something you want to achieve that you enjoy and live in the moment of enjoyment. Then you're going to excrete all those wonderful, happy hormones.
I fully agree
Moni?
with Dr. Bill as well. One thing that
Neo?
I found is just smile. In the movie Madagascar, the penguins stand there and just smile and wave. There's a reason for that. I'm going to dare you. You won't believe me how quickly the brain secretes positive hormones in your bloodstream. When I stop talking now, I want you to give me the broadest, most wonderful Aquafresh Colgate advertisement smile you could have ever given anybody. Okay, smile at the screen. Okay, just smile. Okay. Okay, wonderful. How do you feel now? It's like, oh, I don't know, I just feel better. Exactly. Immediately, your whole body is infused, every single one of the billion cells is infused with energy just by smiling. So whenever there's a taxi or a negative person in front of you, without being weird, just smile. You should see me in the road with all the taxis. I just smile at all the taxis and I feel wonderful. So yeah, that also works.
Yeah.
They look
Another thing
you
is hum
because
your
you don't
favorite.
have a... Sorry, Dr. Bill.
Another thing is hum your favorite song.
That's interesting.
And just sing your favorite song. What's your favorite song? Whatever
Moni
it is,
says a
sing it.
Disney song.
Yeah. Neil, what's your favorite song? Nkosi Sikelele.
Oh, no. I'm a dancer. It's dance music. So just quickly to reflect on everything, when we look at the first session, the second session, and the third session, and all the questions, when we look, there's something that is actually common. It's common. Basically, what the students or the people are trying to get is, how do I come from being this stressed person and, you know, just unseasoned to being a better person on knowing how to handle stress? Now, I want you to think about a rehab. You must see, when you look at the programs in the rehab, what they do is when someone is obsessed with something, let's say in this case is negative thinking, what they do is, in order for them to take them out of that obsession, they give them something else to do and to focus on. So basically, it's very important to check and to analyze what is it that you're focusing on. And when you see that whatever you're focusing on doesn't bring positive outcome in your life, change your focus and start holding onto things that will actually bring a positive impact in your life. No, don't just say, I'm going to let this go, and yet there's nothing else that you hold on to. The best way to change your mind is to learn something new. So learn positive stuff, positive habits, positive behaviors, and just feed your mind with positive information.
Thank you so much, Neo. And I think if I dance, I'd laugh, and then we can just, you know, it can be a positive effect. have a positive effect on me as well. I want to say thank you to everyone that, yeah, sorry, Dr. Bill.
Gillian, may I just ask a question and a favor? Is there a possibility that the people that are online can just send to you what were the 3 things that was an aha moment, or what were the 3 things that they got out of the stress courses that really impacted them, and what, when they've written the 3 down, they must go equals, that's why I enjoyed this course. 3 things or 3 reasons, 3 pieces of evidence as to why I really enjoyed attending this course. And just send that through to you, please. We'd love to hear that.
That's perfect. I think you guys can do that and send it to us at southafrica@goldenkey.org, and then we'd be able to put all of that together and send that through to you guys. I think that would be great. So just to make sure, it's 3 things equals why I enjoyed this course.
Yeah. Yeah. What made this course great for me? What's wonderful?
Great. Thank you so much. So you guys can send that through to southafrica@goldenkey.org. And I want to thank Marnie, Dr. Bill, Neo for these sessions. They were really brilliant. I think if you look at the chats, you can see how much members enjoyed it. I keep my eye on the chat at all times. And everyone says, great advice. Can they have more? Brilliant advice. We need to hear more. That's awesome. Then, you know, this is incredible. I see people saying that they feel better after this, these sessions. So we'll definitely keep you guys up to date. That we still have a lot of things to do with these amazing people. So thank you very much for attending our sessions. We're happy that you guys enjoyed it. I want to say a special thanks for you guys giving up time to engage with our members and make them feel good and experience positivity. We appreciate your time and efforts as well. Members, for making time for these. I can see it's something that everyone thoroughly enjoyed by the attendance, the comments, the chats. Thank you for submitting your questions, and thank you guys for answering these questions that we've had over the past 3 sessions as well. You can now log off by using the red leave button on the right-hand side of your screen, and we will let you know and keep you up to date with anything else. We'll also add this on our YouTube channel. So you're welcome to have a look at our YouTube channel for all of the recordings if you missed one of the previous sessions. Thank you very much, guys.